Welcome to Just Breathe. In this practice of Just Breathe, I want to guide you through the three-part breath, the Durga breath, and then ramp it up to what I call the Dharma breath. And Dharma breath is just inviting us to trust this process of the inhalation and the exhalation. Rolf Gates said in his book Meditations from the Mat that the inhalation is our practice and the exhalation is our Dharma. And it's in that exhalation that I have found the beauty of trusting my practice to do the good of my life's work in the world, to share from my abundance, to live my Dharma. So we're going to explore the three diaphragms of breath, the pelvic floor, the diaphragm here at the ribs, and the throat closing from our Ujjayi breathing practice. So we'll start with just moving in and out, a nice easy breath. From there, we'll transition into the three parts of the belly, the ribs, and the chest. Exhaling, chest, ribs, and belly. A few rounds of the Durga breath, and we'll start to play with the closing of effort on the exhale, and an easing, a softening of muscular effort on the inhale. We'll do that from the pelvic floor, and the transverse abdominis, the complement muscle, the partner muscle of the diaphragm that inhales. And then thirdly, we'll bring in the Ujjayi. Now, some of you will bring those in simultaneously. You'll do all three bandhas at the same time. Some of you will move from one bandha to the next bandha, working to strengthen your agility and ability to find that engagement. So we're finding a comfortable seat, starting with some pranayama this morning. So as you are ready to settle in, find a comfortable sit, an easeful breath, and a soft focus of the mind stuff. Maybe it includes the drishti, a vocal point. Maybe it includes a mantra or an affirmation. Maybe there's even a gazing point that you want to look at in this room, in this space. All of that is just ways in which to meet yourself just as you are. So hold this space safe and sacred. As we transition from the day-to-day, the mundane of just living and getting through the tasks, to celebrate the beauty of the awakening, the transforming, the becoming, the openings. And of course, with every celebration of every birth, of every beginning, there is that invitation to recognize what we're letting go, the death. Steadying that breath in and out, ideally transitioning into the nose, both directions. Soften the muscles of the jaw, underside of the mouth, and into the throat and the neck. Durga breath, three parts, belly, ribs, and chest. Fill up and empty. And this too is a metaphor for the expansion that is life and the retraction that takes us towards death. The bottom of that breath, when you're empty, just give a little bit of a pull up from the pelvic floor, really helping to activate the muscular exhale. And then soften that pelvic floor, soften the low belly, and breathe in again, belly, ribs, chest. Take a few rounds of just cultivating that attention to the pelvic floor. As you find that bandha lock, that lifting muscular closing, hesitate just a little bit before releasing and reopening that pelvic floor. With that, perhaps you can feel that opening once again of the diaphragm. This is where we start to feel not just the lifting of the pelvic floor, but perhaps the hugging in of the transverse abdominis, the diaphragm's partner. And then as we open, filling the lower belly, the lower lungs to expand and relax that bandha. Begin again. Next layer, the ujjayi, with or without the lower contractions of the bandhas. Closing that throat is probably the most tangible sensation of these bandha works. Closing the throat, you might even drop the chin a bit. And sometimes when you release the bandha of the throat, it'll actually kind of hiss or click as you shift that energy, hence air escaping and making sound over the vocal cords. Balance the effort and the ease. Whether it's in breathing, whether it's in the muscular effort of sustaining a shape or an asana, or coming back again and again and again with the fluctuations of the mind. And begin again by letting go where we no longer need to hold and embracing the flow of this progression, the breath, sensations, the relationships, the life itself. Last nuance here. Go ahead and turn the palms open. Let the fingers spread as you inhale, softening the pelvic floor, softening the abdominals, receiving this breath. And then an effort. Close the hands, lift the pelvic floor, draw in the ribs, the transverse, close the throat. And again, open. Receive. Effort. To Dharma, to live your gifting, sharing from your abundance. At the elbow bend. So as you inhale, spread the palms, open the belly. And then exhale, perhaps the arms crisscross, make the shoulders lift. Squeezing from the diaphragms, bandhas, giving from your Dharma. Inhale and open, receive what you need to restore and begin again. Let yourself linger in that emptiness, that effort in place of giving the last drops of breath, knowing that by giving you open yourself up, you make space to receive. Two more. Release the breath control. Perhaps even shifting the sit to balance, back to steadiness. I'm going to plug my fingertips into the floor for a little more grounding. Easy in, easy out. Looking for about a 5.5 count inhalation, 5.5 count exhalation. Pausing in between as it's comfortable and accessible with ease. Notice the consequence, notice the echo of your practice. Thanks so much for pausing to just breathe. Trust that the practice is enough to fill you, to share from your abundance. May you breathe deeply and move freely. Labor lovingly and live vibrantly. May you be well. Namaste. So right elbow bends in, drop the chin to the left. And switch, a little spinal flossing for the upper shoulders and neck. And last round. These shoulders up, back, and down. Take a few in the opposite direction. And then taking the shoulders up, back, and down. Elbows by your side body, circle the nose. Magic and freeze. Reverse the head. Notice what you're noticing and feeling. Transition to table for cat and cow, but feel free to start your cat and cow here and seated if that feels organic in how you want to move. Still minimizing the weight bearing on the arms and the shoulders might allow a little more undulation in that mid and upper back. As you come into hands and knees, you can continue with the cat and cow, begin the cat and cow, or transition with some spinal flossing here. So again, the hands a little longer. As the hips drop forward, the chin comes down, pulling that spinal cord north. And then as the hips sink back, lift the chin, pull that spinal cord south just a bit. And finding cat and cow to shift back into the musculoskeletal system here. And tuck the toes, setting some or all of your weight into the toes. The hands could also turn out, right? Turning those fingertips back towards the body. Just giving a little bit of a stretch down the inside forearm and the underside of the foot, balancing with just a pause. And as you are ready to release, rock, sway, swivel. I like to pitter patter out the tops of my feet.
And then moving the hips from side to side. Again, widening the hands might give you some more support. Widening the knees might shift the degree of that stretch to make it more accessible. Choose and explore. From the side to side, when the body is ready, you might sink the hips towards the heels of your feet. Again, playing with the placement of your shins and your knees to explore the angles that your body holds. Finding your way to let the hips come down to the floor on one side. I'm bringing my hips down to the floor on the left so that my right arm can make a little bit of a sun rising flow up and over. Bit of a twist, a bit of a bend through the spine. Where do you feel what you feel? Maybe the inhale takes the arm up, back down. The exhale over, back above. Go ahead and pivot all the way around this time, bringing the hands behind you, the feet stand facing the back of your mat. Lift the sternum, press through the heels of your feet, the heels of your hands. And swivel to the second side, so bring the opposite knees down, and then coming back up and over now with the second arm. Going back to face forward, hands plant, hips lift. Circle those hips as you find your way back to center. Reverse that circling. Child's pose. Adjust the width of your knees, both for the sense of stretch, where you need that stretch, but also that sense of stability and support. As we walk our arms around on either side of the ears into that lateral reach, then that repetition of movement. Now see if you can extend a stretch, well grounded through the lower body, reaching to the side body. There might even be a bit of a swivel of the dipping of the shoulders to rock a little. And backing off that edge. Bring the hands in under the shoulders for a side to side rocking sway. Shoulder circle, head bobs. Maybe the hips and the thighs sway. Just recalibrating. Checking in. Good. With the hands for support, pelvic tilt. So really exaggerating that low lumbar curve. And then return. And tilt. Good. Taking that over to the second side. Walk the arms out into your child's pose. Take a pause and begin when you're ready to walk to the second side. A dip, sway of the shoulder girdle. Maybe the head is heavy and it rests on the arm or the floor. Then as you come back to neutral, walk the hands around to the back side, planting the top of the head towards the floor. Holding the lower body, press the feet down as the hips rise, rabbit pose. Beautiful. As you release, coming back to your child or your table, swim stroke, one arm pulls back, swim it out or up. And then the other side, pull back. It might be more horizontal. It might be more vertical. You can add the child's lifting to the table, getting a little more core strength. Think about lifting to the inner thighs and moving from your belly. Inhale. Good, last round, evening this out. We'll bring our forearms down to the floor in our table shape. Make a couple of circles here, just letting the shoulders explore where there is room now that we've planted the elbows. Play with the orientation, if it's a triangle or a box shape for the lower forearms. Then finding your stability, move down to the low body, extend and roll through one foot, ankle, bending and straightening the knee. Maybe there's a bit that floating donkey kick, really waking up that hamstring and glute. Now we'll cross that leg. So extend it, cross it into that lateral reach, looking over, ear towards shoulder, or even swivel chin towards shoulder. As that leg comes back to neutral, knee up or down, pause for a forearm press. So you add the second knee down or add the second leg to extend, pull up through the shoulder blades, press down through the elbow points. Excellent. And then lower the knees, lower the belly and the hips, hands under the shoulders, exhale, rise for cobra. And inhale. Exhale, rise. Inhale, lower. 2 more. All right, Sphinx pose is you bring those elbows in underneath you. Check in perhaps with just a head nod. And then activating through your core, press down through the elbows, hug down to the shoulders, knees or toes. Press up by lifting to the belly, back to your forearm press. Good. Lower the knees and shift. Maybe that's walking the elbows back. Maybe that's bringing the knees in to find your stability to then move to the second leg, rolling over and around the ankle. Pump that leg in and out. Good. As it extends, pause, and then cross it over, arcing through the side. Good, and unwind. Downward dog, tuck the toes, set the hips back. Widen the hands, perhaps a little wider than the shoulders, and spread the fingers to really suction the heart center of your palm to the mat. Shoulder blades hug down, lengthen the neck. As you exhale, lift the belly, straightening through the knees, let the hips rise towards the sky. You might like to pulse and walk out the feet. You might like to keep those knees soft, but keep the shoulders back and down. Come back to that big, expansive Durga breath, belly, ribs, chest. So you're ready, lower the knees. Keep those shoulders back as much as you can as you roll down the toes to lower the knees. Then shift the weight back and off the arms. Go ahead and grab your twin set of therapy balls. Let's scroll out the shin and the ankle a bit. So while we're here, forearms are table with your hands. Just scroll up and down. And I like to use a block for this next pin and stretch technique. And that is the block, the ball, and then the front of my ankle, right? And this just is going to help to open up some of that space in the ankle connection to the shin bones. So my weight is on my foot. Knee can be up or down, but now I can wiggle my foot below that pinning, pointing, stretching, swiveling, tilting, and not hit the floor, so I can get some more room. Now, if that block is just too firm, we don't need all that space, You don't have to use the block. If you're right at the crook of the ankle or just above, there's a lot of activity happens there with the dorsal flexion, lifting the toes when we walk. Take another 5 breaths. To be strong belly breaths. And then scroll it out just a few more times. Again, backing off. We know that our memory of an experience is more favorable when the lingering effects, the last bit of that memory is more pleasant than it is harsh. So it's always nice to give yourself a taste of sweetness after something quite intense, just as a way to reward yourself for that effort and to create a positive memory or association. From that side, go ahead and move over to the other when you're ready. Start with the scrolling, say hello. It's been a while since I've talked to you, right? Think about that. In the time that maybe you haven't seen a friend for a while, if they're a really intimate friend, you can jump right in like you've never lost any time. But if they're a less intimate friend, you kind of have to start over a little bit. So think about the last time you had a real heart-to-heart conversation with your shin. With your ankle, right? Where is it that you're holding tension? Maybe need to enter a little more gently. There's your room to pin and stretch. You had a solid pause, maybe 5 deep breaths there. Again, that intensity, balanced then by some easing. And finally, coming to a child's pose for a moment of rest and recalibration. Noticing perhaps if your ankles, your shins have more contact with the floor beneath you. We may just have freed up some stuckness, opened up to explore greater balance and rotation and mobility. Downward dog. Again, shift your weight so that the toes get underneath you. Then set the hands and hug the shoulders down, protecting that shoulder joint as you add weight by keeping it steady and still. That way the strength is happening from the movement of your centered control and power. Take your baby steps up to the top of your mat, walking into your forward fold. Maybe grabbing opposite hand to elbow and let your drape happen with a soft bend in the knee, rounding through that low back. Letting gravity open the shoulders and the neck. As you are ready to rise, use your core strength, exhaling. Support with the support of your arms, the strength to push into the legs as you need. Rising up all the way through a sun breath, opening, opening, opening. Use your drishti to ground and begin again. Right hand finds the left wrist. Lengthen and bow to the right side. Press down to that left foot. Bury that left sits bone in the top of that left thigh. That's going to mitigate some sassy ass from sneaking in. Good. Left arm's going to come all the way around. Bring it down and around. Maybe it rests at your waist. Maybe it climbs up. Maybe you bind. But then drop the ear away. Release. Rise. And second side, lengthen and bow. Pressing down to that right heel. Burying the right sits bone. Opening up the front of the belly, the side of the hip, through the torso. Rise. And let that arm right all the way around. And then the ear tilts away. The head. Release the hands. Let them come back down to your heart center. Samasthiti. Release the fingers. Sink into a chair. Lift the navel, lift the pubic bone, squeeze the shoulder blades back and down. Maybe even start to turn the thumbs out or back through the arms. Good. Inhale and rise. Lift the arms, straighten the legs, look up. Bury those sits bones and open into back bend. Rise and back up. Swan dive those hands down, bind behind you. Maybe taking a shoulder shrug to reorient. And then bending the knees, hinging at the hips, bow. Once again, belly to rest, head to head. Let the shoulders draw open across the front. Release the hands to block to the floor. Step back with your left foot, finding your warrior one lunge. And rise. Heel up or heel down. Square those hips, lengthen to the crown of the head and open up the heart. Maybe even letting the arms splay a little wider. Drawing that back hip forward. Right front thigh back. Level out those hips. Take another breath here. Good. And release the hands to thigh or to floor and step that back foot forward. Right foot steps back for your warrior one lunge. Set it up and rise with core stabilization, core strength. Square and level the hips. Bury that right sits bone into the top of the thigh. Hug back to the front left thigh bone. One more breath. Bring your hands down for greater support and balance. The thigh to block to floor. Step that back foot up. Sink your hips to a chair. Rise your body through a round. And then sink again into that deep chair with a nice strong spine. Opening up to one side, twist. Keep those knees stacked and level. Back to neutral. Round into that chair. Maybe straighten the legs a little bit. And then sink again. Flatten out the back as you turn to twist to the second side. Same thing, a little undulation. Rounding, maybe straightening. Sinking to twist. One more time each side. Finding little micro movements to help honor that fatigue that shows up from the static hold. As you rise through center, open it up once again. This time taking that back bend, maybe you want to hold the head. Maybe you have the strength to keep those arms long and extended. Rising up, step back with your left. Twist to the right. Revolve, right hand is going to rest, left hand is going to reach up towards the sky. That right hip rise. See if you can square up the pelvis so the twist is in the spine. One more breath here. And then unwind all the way to warrior two. Swing the arms. Pivot the hips. Warrior two. All those elbows in. Open across the chest and breathe. Inhale and rise, straighten the arms, straighten the leg, take that back into a trikonasana, revolving backwards. Up and over. Coming down to that fold, hands plant, back foot steps forward, take as many little steps as you need. Bowing, maybe hooking hands to elbows, circling head, swaying hips, sighing, moaning, releasing. Rising up, opening all the way. Samasthiti, hands to heart center, step back with the right foot, swivel the torso to the left. Shoulders are down. Elbows might need a little bit of bend. And then exploring that revolution, that back hand might rest on the hip or the thigh. Top hand might lift to the sky or start to arc back and over. So the top hand is going to go up and over. The bottom hand is going to come follow it, the same path as we swivel all the way around. So we're spiraling the arms as we spiral the hips and pivot to find warrior two. Adjust the length of your stride, adjust the placement of your feet, adjust the arms and the stretch down your shoulders and chest. Trikonasana, straighten and revolve. Take it back. Think about lifting that front hip, keeping that sass in the backside minimized. Good. As you come all the way forward, we're going to take it down to our low lunge. So bring those hands to the floor and the back knee down to the mat. Rock your Hanuman. Take the foot perhaps a little wider, but more importantly, bring that left arm into the inside edge of the left thigh. Stabilize, shoulders, elbows, wrists. Now squeeze that left thigh into the shoulder, press back with the shoulder itself. If you want more, tuck the back toes and lift that knee, really activating the scissoring through both legs for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and relax. By relax, let go of the squeeze. Maybe even let that left knee fall open, more of a lizard shape. Good. Second round, same concept. Stand the foot, hug the knee into the shoulder, spread across the chest, pressing that left arm into the left thigh. As you soften, tuck the back toes. If they're down, lift up into a wide-legged straddle. This might start with some Skandasana rock, or you might move right into that wide-legged straddle. We're going to shift to the back side of your mat for that inner thigh squeeze. So take your time. Bring with you whatever support you might like. Wide-legged fold. You might want to add a twist. Opposite hand to rotate, keeping those hips really level. And the second side. So as we pivot to the back leg, you rearrange the feet, right? Bringing that back knee down. The front leg squeezes into the shoulder. And hover here for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Relax. Let that right knee fall open into perhaps more of a lizard. And then the right knee stands one more time. Engage, hugging in, scissoring the inner thighs, pressing shoulder into the right leg. Nicely done. As you release, adjust to frame that foot and rock the Hanuman. So this is our second side. Rocking that Hanuman in and out. All right. Walk back to the side. So your right foot is at the back of your mat. Walk your hands to the side as if you're going back to the front. So your left shin is now perpendicular for gate pose. So you're going to walk your head that way and swivel your foot towards me. Yes, your left foot. You got it. And walking upright to your gate. Right? Bending over that back leg. And then up and over, control the descent. The left hand is going to come down to the floor, adding that right arm's weight as you're ready for extending all the way through that side body. An option to bend the knee and bind hand to foot for a nice quadricep stretch. Maybe you make some circles with that floating knee. Just checking in with the angle of the hip and the quadriceps. And then release. Thread the needle. We're going to bring that right hand down as we bring the right knee down and tuck that right arm under. Take that threading again if you need it. Otherwise, just pause here. You can add the extension of the left leg or even bring it to hover for a little more challenge. As you unwind, your right shin becomes the grounded shin. Your right hand on the mat, you're swiveling to the other direction, extending your left leg. Side supported plank, lifting up to your gate, and then bowing over that long back leg. Good, inhale, rise, control the descent, bringing that right hand back down to the floor, adding that left arm only when you know that you've got the stability and the strength to support its reach. And then binding as you'd like. Exploring with some gentle micro movements. And then extending. Now we're going to thread that needle. So as the left knee comes down, that left arm is going to thread underneath, bring you back to face forward. An option to extend or hover the right leg. As you release, unwind. Child's pose if you want to reset and rest. Otherwise, make your way to the feet in front when you are ready to move on. You're going to have your therapy balls, your twin set of therapy balls, and sitting on your bum and hands. So as you land here, go ahead and sway the knees. Feel into the tissues of the buttocks. Allowing the knees to fall all the way over to one side. Square the shoulders facing the back of your mat. And here's a little chaturanga, a little push-up. Bend the elbows, lower the chest, and lift it back up while lengthening through the spine. Gentle movement. Last push-up. Unwind with a big sun breath of that left arm. Lift it up and over, unwinding. Back to face forward, reverse table, or just the heart lift. Want more? Extend the legs long for reverse plank. Squeeze the buttocks, press into the feet, pull the heels towards the bottom. Good, and release to a tight seed pose. Hips come down. Arms wrap around, tuck the chin and round that low back, maybe even walking the toes closer to the body. Boat pose for a little challenge for the core. Walk the toes out, lift the heart up, draw the elbows and shoulder blades down as you free the limbs to float and hover. Support and touch down. Drop the knees the other way. Swivel to square the shoulders. And once again, lengthen on that inhale. Exhale. Go ahead and sink into that chaturanga. Lengthen on the inhale. And exhale. Two more. As you come back to face forward, your choice. Skip that sequence of the reverse table or come and repeat. Counter back bend with a rounding forward, a seed. And returning the effort to center, support a balanced boat. All right, we're going to bring those balls into the meaty part of the buttocks. You can start to sway one knee. And this might be enough. You can adjust where that ball lands. Yep, that is tolerable, but there's room for more. And that just simply means without negatively affecting your breath, without feeling like you cannot tolerate and be with it, then that means there's no room. Right? If there is room, add more weight by rolling onto the ball. And then you can add more dexterity by lengthening that leg, opening the twist through the external and internal rotation, changing the angle from long to bent, working all of those external rotation muscles in the buttocks. And if you've gone more intense, and start to back off for less intensity. We'll move to the second side. Let's take it just to check in on a figure 4 stretch here. Go ahead and fold, recline, lean in, whatever you need. Just opening up. And maybe even more Gomukhasana would feel good for you, depending on where you're feeling that stretch. Just crossing the center line or nearing that center line with that working leg, that top leg. Taking 3 or 4 more breaths here. How are you supporting your shape to receive the stretch? And then unwinding a little bit at a time. Again, easing, maybe even some gentle caressing of your own buttocks. As we move to the second side. Bring the balls underneath the meaty part of the buttocks.
Just thinking to myself, there's a large space of meaty parts.
Yeah, yeah. There are, but you get too high and you get to the sacrum, then
Yes.
you get bony.
Right.
You get too low and you get to the ischial tuberosities, in which case you're in a bone again. So we want to be in the anywhere in that bulky flesh, the abundance I like to call it, you're gonna find something that's worth massaging out.
Yeah, I can tell the difference in size too.
Yeah. Mind your edge. Mind the transition between the edge and coming back to ease. As you do, take a few breaths to really just let that be a gentle soothing as opposed to an engaging effort of that muscle massage. So you're ready to fold into your figure 4 type crossover stretch of the buttocks. Come on down. This time, invite you to grab your gorgeous ball, the big purple ball. And that's going to come underneath the flat bony part of your sacrum. Widen the feet and hold the mat with your hands for just an extra support grounding. As you arc the pelvis over the ball, using your outside leg to help stabilize that rotation and pushing up to come out of it. Just rocking from side to side. As your hips sway, the knee will lower on that inner side, meaning the top leg, and let that be a stretch across the front of the hips as much as you can appreciate. Similarly, you can do a knee tuck, so bringing the feet perhaps a little more narrow, draw the knee into the belly and extend it long, using as much support and guidance as you need just to explore the flexion and extension. And second side. And as we complete the movement portion, we'll settle into a variation of a twist. I like the ball to be underneath the hips, but bringing that right hip to the floor. Bolster might be helpful underneath or between the legs. Letting the left leg land so that the hip is higher and a bit of an angle. So we're just using the ball to create some traction in that lumbar spine and into the hip flexors themselves. If you would prefer a different twist or a different pause, you are always encouraged to listen to your body. The longer you land, again, you might notice little tweaks or shifts. For me, I'm walking my top foot, my left foot back a little bit, just a little toe heel wiggle to get a little more front body of that quadricep stretch. All right, you can stay right here or turn this into more of a mermaid. That top knee might come a little closer to the bottom knee as you swivel the shoulders on top of one another. Use the top arm to lift the torso and swivel the chest to the floor. Bolster or block underneath the body. The ball is no longer supporting your pelvis. Once the torso has landed, check in on the lower body. As you are ready to release and unwind, coming onto your back body, maybe there's a seat or a happy baby pose before we reverse those final two shapes of the propped twist and then the mermaid twist. Start with the feet planting to lift the hips and slide the ball underneath the sacrum. Feel free to rock and readjust for stability, or moving right to the second side. So the left hips come down. That right hip is propped on the back of the ball at a bit of an angle, and adjust the lower legs for comfort. The arms can rest to hold the ball, hold the belly, or extend out into a goddess or a T, whatever feels good. Stay here or move into your mermaid variation. Top knee might stack, and the shoulders stack. The ball folds away as you swivel the heart towards the floor. Pause once again. Savasana awaits. Bring in any props or supports that feel good. Cover for warmth, shielding of your eyes.
As you breathe in, welcome this rejuvenation. As you breathe out, trust the letting go. Trust the gift that you are just as you are. And invite movement back into the body as you continue to circulate this life-giving breath, receiving what you need, and releasing what you no longer need, what you have in abundance and can share, what is used and no longer serves you, but may, in turn, serve someone else. The cycle continues. We find our way back into our body and into this moment, back into this day, bringing with us the permission and the confidence that showing up is enough. And adapting to what is in this flow of living is the practice in action. You breathe in, fill the belly, the ribs, and the chest. Let it go, empty the chest, the ribs, and the belly. To begin again with each breath. And the hands come to rest together at your heart space. Feel the breath as it expands into the belly and the chest, perhaps even touching the thumbs or the palms, the wrists. And you breathe deeply. And you move freely. And you labor lovingly. And live vibrantly. Namaste. Thank you so much. Have a great day. And let me know if you have any questions, comments, or observations.
How are you?
I'm okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Dealing with a lot, so.
Are you?
One of my closest friends passed away on Monday. Today's the viewing. She's in my art class for years, and she's only a year older than me. So I'm telling you, an aorta aneurysm.
Wow.
I know, just took her. They operated. She had 3 different operations. Not last week, the week before, like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then her 2 kids had to make a decision to take her off support. So
Oh.
I know, girl, you just never know. It's like, holy, I'm just tired of all these people leaving, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Tough. So another funeral.
It's the season, you know. We have them. You know, I mean, truly, you know, I mean, you remember the season when everyone was having babies and the season when everyone was graduations, you know. It's the next stage of seasons, but it's a hard one for sure. For sure.
Yeah.
Oh, Marion.
I know. It just brings it, right in your face.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. It's just gratitude for still being here and practice and all that. But it's tough.
Absolutely. I'm sorry for your loss.
So anyway, that's my story. I'm sticking to it. How are you? How's your foot? I keep thinking about it because I've got to at some point do something about it, but I just keep putting it off because I just know what that pain's going to be.
It's something. I mean,
yeah.
Most of my pain now is actually in the movement of my ankle, interestingly enough, that I think that the fusion changed the movement of those bones enough that now it sits differently at the ankle, and I'm really restricted in my ankle. So,
oh my God.
Yeah. I mean, I've lost, and I had a lot of ankle flexion. The dorsal flexion, I have a lot in my.
Yeah.
I don't need that much, but I've probably lost nearly 10% of that mobility. Now, I'm grateful because it seems like the pain now is all nerves. It's all in the skin. There's no pain in the joint. There's no pain in the impact when I touch down. Yeah. And I can do downward dog. I mean, I can't roll over my toes yet.
Yeah.
And I may not ever, right? I mean, I used to, but I may not ever now. But because my heel rests or can rest on the floor in downward dog, I can still get the full benefit of that. I'm not scheduled for the one in August, but I'm making plans as if I am. So. Yeah.
I tell you, the minute you start messing with feet, it just affects
everything. Well, that is what I saw my acupuncturist yesterday, and I can say, knock on wood, that my hip and my hip mostly,
your knees are okay.
They're okay, right? So if it's in the ankle, I still have some hope that, again, we can rehabilitate the ankle a little bit, readjust. It's okay if I don't have that full range, but still getting down the stairs, I have to take them at an angle.
Yeah. Wow.
So.
Yeah.
I'm just not used to that.
Yeah. I know.
Yeah.
Change.
I know.
Eat it all.
Oh, I tell you. Yeah.
No.
Well, I'm always happy to see your face and to share in your burdens and your celebrations.
I know. I keep thinking I'm going to come back And I just can't get out of the space here.
Well, yeah, yeah,
You know, it's just like, okay.
yeah, yeah.
So I'm going on Monday to an orthopedist because I've got this bulbous thing. Can you see that?
Yes.
That's from falling, you know, when I read, you
Yeah.
know, 4 weeks ago. And I think it's the bursa sac. I think I've injured her, and they're going to have to drain it or do something like ball. I feel
Oof.
like, you know how old ladies get. So it's just,
Oh, is it sore? Is it sore as well?
yes, I
Okay.
do. Like today, I put my arms up on blocks here. So
Yeah, so you had that extra.
I cannot do that. I could do it on the blocks, but so no, I've tried to, I could do, I was okay with Cobra, but my favorite, which is Sphinx, I could do it if I take my arms up, but to go,
Yeah. No benefit there.
I'll
Good.
tell you,
Okay.
but you know.
Well, good luck with that. I hope that they're able to bring some
I know,
relief.
I don't know. I know they can drain it, but it does, I don't know if it comes back, you know, what's that gonna mean?
Right.
Ay, ay, ay.
But that's a pretty good indication that you hit pretty hard.
I did. I know, this rib is still, because I can feel it down here. I mean, I can open now, and I mean, I've been doing deep pranayama practice to kind of open, but it is from here all the way back. I can feel it in my thoracic spine. That's, I mean, it was that, and to knock the wind out of me, it was pretty tough.
Yeah.
But it's healing. I can tell. I just, you know, it's coming along. But this thing,
Woo.
so, but I'm still out there sliding into home plate on the floor. Boing.
Good.
Oh,
All right,
well.
sweetheart. Have a good weekend.
Yes, you too. Thank you. It was a
Okay.
wonderful class.
I know.
Thank you.